Hi friends, welcome back to Locally Raised. My name is Marta if you're new, and I want to show you my new coop today. I am really happy with this coop that John's been working on for me and for our chickens. The coop isn't quite ready for the chickens to move in because as you can see we have no run. But just a few days ago John finished building the coop itself, and so I wanted to give you a little sneak peek before we move in the chickens. Let me show you what the past few weeks have looked like as John's been working on this. When I decided that I wanted to change the way that I source my family's food, that I wanted to start growing and raising more of our own food, keeping chickens was just a no-brainer. They don't take up that much space and they provide a really nutrient-dense source of protein. So I was pretty excited to get this project going because this is our first time branching beyond gardening when it comes to feeding our family. My husband John grew up with chickens, but I've never kept them before, so this is all new to me. I've been reading the book The Small Scale Poultry Flock by Harvey Ussery. He takes a really holistic approach to chicken care, and I've really appreciated that book. It's got a lot of detail, and he's just done a lot of research and has a lot of experience. I'll link that book down below if you're interested. We got our chicks back in the end of March as little day-old babies, and so it's been fun to see how fast they grow. I really can't believe how fast they grow. They are in a temporary cage right now. They're living in a play yard with a lid on it to protect them from predators. So they have the space that they need right now, but I'm excited to move them into the coop and have a more permanent arrangement. We knew that wherever we decided to keep the chicken coop, it would be very visible throughout our property because our house and our driveway sit in the center of our 1 acre lot. So it was important to us that our coop be functional, but also that it be something that we like the look of. I'm really grateful that John has the skills to be able to build things the way that we want them. That way they have the function we want and the look that we want. This coop was a design that we bought online, and I'll link that design down below. The creator of the design also made a video of the step-by-step building process, so I'm not showing every step here because that video already exists. If you're curious about the time and the money that went into this build, John estimates that he spent about 30 hours working on this. It's definitely not a beginner project, but if you have some woodworking skills, it's doable. It just takes time. He also estimates that we spent about $700 on materials for this. We bought plans for this coop online after looking around at a lot of different options and layouts and styles. And one of the things I liked best that made me want this coop was how efficient it is. It's really set up to make things as easy as possible for us as we're taking care of our chickens. I'm all about making things easier on ourselves when we can. So for starters, these doors are at waist height, which should make for easy clean outs. So when it is time to clean out the bedding, I can open this up, get a rake, and just rake that bedding right out. However, we don't plan to be doing a lot of cleanouts in here. It'll hopefully only be about twice a year because we're going to try the deep litter method for coop bedding. So you'll see we have this board here, and this is an adaptation we made to the design that we purchased. So this board is 7 inches tall. We're going to put about 6 inches of bedding in here for starters, and then we plan to only clean it out twice a year. The bedding will occasionally be turned over, hopefully by the chickens, but if not by them, then by us. And over time, we should just find that the bedding and the chicken droppings break down together and form a good compost we can put in our garden. So you'll see there's just a single screw on each side here, because twice a year when we do that clean out, John will use his drill to unscrew those, and then this board will come out and we can just rake straight out into a wheelbarrow and put that compost on our garden. Here's our nesting boxes. You'll see there's 5 nesting boxes. This is another spot where John made modifications so that I could use deep litter. We've got this board here to hold in their bedding, and then he raised this part several inches above where it was initially going to be so that the chickens have enough clearance to get in and out of the nesting boxes. John also modified the inside. I didn't want the droppings board since I'm going to try out deep litter. So the design called for a diagonal sloped droppings board across that back corner. We're just going to use all this space for roosts. So there's 3 roosting spots. 2 are the same height and then 1 lower. Up here we've got one of our little windows. The design that we purchased called for glass windows. We decided we didn't want to do that just because it would be a lot easier in our budget to eliminate glass windows. So we've got chicken wire windows for ventilation, and then John designed this door for this particular window because we do sometimes get driving rains coming this direction. Most of the time, this door will be kept open, and this will provide really necessary ventilation, because ventilation is key for keeping healthy, happy chickens. So this will be open most of the time, and then when we do have an occasional storm with driving winds, we can close it. Coming around to this side, we have the nesting boxes. Here we've got 2 more chicken wire windows. We don't need any doors on those. There's a lot of overhang here, and we just generally don't get rains going that direction. Here's the nesting box. A typical nesting box opens upwards right here, but one of the things we liked about this design is that this is the door for the nesting boxes. And so for us, that means 2 things. First of all, it means, again, easy clean outs because it'll be waist height when we have to clean things out from here. But also, I love that this means my kids can gather eggs without me. My oldest is 5, and she's a little bit short and a little bit young to be doing it without me, but she's almost tall enough that she can lower this door on her own. This waist height nesting box and this downwards opening door is a great design for making this kid friendly. I want my kids to be able to gather eggs, and now they'll be able to do that, and it's just more accessible for them. One thing I should also mention on this side is that the roof slants towards this side, and that is intentional. My hope is that eventually we'll have a rainwater collection system. We get a lot of rain here in the summers, year round, but especially in the summers. And so this angled roof means we could have a barrel and collect rainwater and work that into the chickens' watering system. And that's just one more thing that uses our resources well and maybe makes our lives a little bit easier. Coming around to this side, nothing to see here but pretty white paint. And then over here, we've got the chicken door. We will be installing an electric door that will automatically go up when the sun comes up and go down at night. You'll notice this door is elevated several inches. That's another alteration that John made to adapt this design for the deep litter method. So this way we can have 6 or so inches of bedding and nothing will be spilling out. Everything in this coop just needed to be raised up 6 inches to accommodate for that deep litter that we're going to have in the bottom of the coop. I am a novice chicken keeper. This is my very first round of chickens. I've done the reading, but I haven't had the experience. My husband John grew up with chickens and was very skeptical when I described to him this approach to bedding that claims to not smell very much and doesn't need to be emptied out more than twice a year or cleaned out more than twice a year. So I'm really eager to give deep litter a try, but I'm also very open to changing our minds and modifying our approach if we decide it's not for us or it's not working how we thought it would work. We'll see. And finally, we're back at the beginning. The run is going to extend out in that direction. You can see how the roof line slopes up here, and then the run is going to have a roof line that slopes down so that the two form a peak together. I've not yet decided what kind of bedding I want to use in the run. So if you have any recommendations, let me know in the comments what's been working well for you if you keep chickens. I've seen some use sand, I've seen others use pine shavings, and others just use any kind of green matter that they can find. I'm not sure yet what we're going to go with. Thanks for joining me for a look at our coop. Getting egg-laying chickens is definitely a big step towards fewer trips to the grocery store for us and more food that comes from our backyard and from local farmers. So I think I'm about 2 months away now from getting my first eggs from the chickens, and we're hoping to move them in about 2 weeks, and I'll bring you along for that process when the time comes. Until then, bye.